Dear Diary, checking 1, 2, 3. I'm on the streets of New York. Today, I'm going to tell you some horrifying stories about the NYPD, who are dirtier than dirty, the District Attorney's Office, who are 10 times dirtier than the NYPD. I won't go too much into the fact that our city council is almost as dirty as those two entities, and tell you some of what happened to me by a con artist named Harry Stuckey, a.k.a. Vox Lux of the Vox Illuminati, a super snake who hangs out in the Burning Man crowd, infiltrated the 9/11 truthers groups, and sponges off Nick's Ed and that crowd. Harry Stuckey. He's the kind of guy who's 50 years old, still wears velvet jackets, and calls everyone babe. He's like the slimiest person you'll ever meet. And he hired me many years ago to do carpentry for him and all kinds of other stuff. And I was his job foreman, and he's very generous with money. Like Mike Bloomberg, Harry Stuckey's always been a sleazy little snake who nobody likes, and so he has to throw money around. Hey, drinks are on me, everybody. Hey, let me take you guys out to eat. Hey, let me get to this. Hey, let me give you guys a ride in my fancy car. Everything he does is to bribe other people, and that shit works. Ask Mike Bloomberg. The greatest criminal in human history is hailed every day by 100% of the press, left-wing and right-wing, because he bribes everyone, and money gets anything you want. You can sleep with 10-year-old girls, you can kill presidents, you can do anything you want with the money, if you have enough money. Harry Stuckey, of course, never made an honest penny in his life. He stole like over $500,000 from his wife, who's a gullible woman. I tried to help her, and she told me, "How dare you insult my husband? Yes, I've caught him cheating on me with hundreds of women, but he cares about me." People are delusional. So Delfino lost me my perfect apartment, my perfect rent-free apartment with a balcony in my bedroom in Chinatown, here in New York City. Delfino did some sleazy things. Now, of course, there's nothing happens in a vacuum. All of her sleazy acts were enabled by people like Dane Darcy, Mike Amato, Michael Iantuano, Diane O'Debra, Steph Sabelli, and the Trachtenberg family slideshow players, David Danzig, thousands of people. Hitler wasn't one guy who just said, I'm taking over the world. I'm going to do it all by myself. Watch. It takes millions of people to help Hitler, millions of people to help Bloomberg, millions of people to help Bush and Cheney. And to some extent, it takes everybody, because apathy is the #1 fuel of evil. You people don't realize that. Apathy creates 100% of evil. It is the inspiration of all evil. You minding your own business is the inspiration of all evil. Anyhow, Delfino lost me my perfect home. And since New York City has been completely destroyed by 17 years of Republican rule, Giuliani and Bloomberg, the two, no joke, the two biggest criminals in American history. Let's debate it anytime, any place. So I had to finally make the biggest break of my life and find a place, a warehouse space in Brooklyn, to finally do what I dreamed of my whole life, having my own little art factory, where I could put on little crazy parties and shows, where I could finally have musical instruments set up in my bedroom, things I'd never been able to have, because I'd always had rent-free great apartments with balconies in them, but they were too small to set my apartment. My rooms were always too small to set up my gear. So I couldn't make any of my fucking music. That's why everything I put on YouTube and everything else I do is half-assed bullshit. I mean, yeah, it's brilliant, but it's still half-assed. And so I spent 3-4 months looked at thousands of places. I had very strict standards. One, it had to have no neighbors. New York City's kind of a crowded place. If you have neighbors, you can't make loud music. You're out of business. And I looked, and I finally found a place. And now I only had $4,000 saved up, and I was going to have to spend a lot more money than that on the down payment of a lease for a warehouse space with multiple bedrooms. And then as soon as I got the security deposits, I could pay everybody back and have my space. Now, the only people I knew who had a little bit of money were Harry Stuckey, who was one of my bosses, who was a scumbag. But remember, everybody I know is a scumbag. I don't know anyone with integrity. If you can show me some people with integrity, please do. I will be their friends to the end. I don't know anyone with integrity. Even the people who everyone thinks have integrity, like the Trachtenberg family slideshow players, are the sleaziest of the sleazy. Bloomberg didn't rip off his friends. Hitler didn't rip off his friends. The Trachtenbergs rip off not their enemies, they rip off their friends. Harry Stuckey doesn't rip off his enemies, he rips off his friends. Jessica Delfino doesn't rip off her enemies, she rips off her friends. David Danzig doesn't rip off his enemies, he rips off his friends. Those are the lowest forms of life that can possibly exist. Do you understand that? I don't think you guys really realize that. You can't compare a Tina Trachtenberg to a Hitler. Murdering your enemies is not as sleazy as torturing and murdering your friends. Yeesh. So, I asked Tom Richford, a friend of mine who I really liked, but also total fuck up who destroyed my life and many other people's lives and had a lot of mental problems. I asked him if he would help me with some of the down payment, and I asked Harry, and they both said yes. And they both make music, and they've both done music with me. And I was like, this is a music thing we can all use. We can shoot music videos there. We can do all kinds of stuff there. It's my place, because they both had their own spaces, only in the same neighborhood, Williamsburg, near McCarran Park. So this was going to be my art factory. I needed somewhere with a 5-year lease or longer, because as a person who has tens of thousands of items, my archives alone are bigger than everything you and every one of your friends owns. That's my archives alone. I produced more visual art than anybody in history. I produced more videos than almost anyone in history. I've got more boxes of cassette tapes than anybody. I'm the most prolific artist in human history. In fact, you cannot find an artist who is 5% as prolific as me in all of human history. They say Picasso was very prolific and made 20,000 works. I made 20,000 works in 1 year. It's absurd. Absurd. So, but don't ever be prolific. Being prolific is not good. I wish I wasn't prolific, but I have to do all the innovative stuff because everybody else in the world isn't doing innovation. I don't know why. It's very sad. It's very lonely being an innovator and a pioneer. So, So Tom was going to put up $4,000. I was putting up $4,000, and Harry was. I found an amazing space. The space was better than anyone, including me, ever thought possible. Everything about the space, it was a once-in-a-lifetime deal. And the space was so great that Harry Stuckey said, I'm going to fucking do everything I can to steal this. It's too good. Because his space was a failure. He had a 10-year lease down the street. His place, like every other business venture he'd ever had in his life, was a total failure. Now, I didn't trust Harry. I didn't trust Tom. I didn't trust anyone. Everyone I know is reliably unreliable. But what do? Huh? You can't show me people say, like, you shouldn't rely on others. Really, you name one person. I bet you can't name one fucking person in all of recorded history who didn't rely on others. Name one. Name one. Where would Paul McCartney been without John Lennon? Or Brian Epstein? Or George Martin? Or the record label? Or, see? Paul McCartney even had a great childhood with a musical father. Right? Mozart, they say, was composing at age 4. Well, so what? He came from a musical family. That doesn't count. Would he have been composing at the age of 4 if he was born in Africa and played with mud all day long and had no access to musical instruments? Fuck no. All bullshit. And, so there's never been a human in history who has done anything by themselves. They've all relied on others. And since I'm the most controversial figure of all time, and I'm also the biggest super nigger of all time, I am the most ostracized person of all time. And so now the space was mind-blowing. They didn't have it on the market. Then they put it on the market. So I was under pressure to instantly sign the lease, to instantly get the $12,000 to them and sign that fucking lease. I couldn't put the lease in my name, huge commercial lease. I didn't have any assets on paper or even any assets anywhere. Tom had huge assets, and Harry didn't have. Well, Harry had assets and a couple fake companies, Fox Film and stuff. So I asked Tom first because I trusted Tom a lot more than Harry. Tom said no. He didn't want the responsibility, even though there was no responsibility, and I'm the most reliable human being of all time. Literally, the most reliable human of all time. I've almost never failed to come through, and this was another example where I came through beyond everybody's wildest dreams. And there was like 10 of us to 15 of us who were going to like kind of go in on the project, even though it was to be my space, my everything, run by me. I wanted a little bit of collective because I like to collaborate. The Colors Project, a lot of other people who are really cool. I mean, all of them are flakes, but a lot of them are really cool. And some of them were going to take some of the rooms. 7 bedrooms. Huge backyard. 20 windows. No neighbors. Fucking humongous living room. 2 walls on wheels. The space was mind-blowing and perfect in every way. Unlimited free parking outside, so I could have touring bands. We were going to set up temporary beds for touring bands to stay with us, because we know what it's like to tour and not have a place to stay. I was going to do hundreds of thousands of great things for the community. But then, when they put the place on the market, it gave me no wiggle room. I had to find someone to take the lease in days, with a couple days. Frantic. I ended up having to ask. I asked Tom first. He said no. I asked Harry second. We also had an agreement, all of us. I said, because we're definitely going to fight. Tom's an asshole and Harry's an asshole, like all my friends are. Mood-swinging, fucking unreliable assholes. Most artists are assholes. Most artists are flakes. I'm the only artist I've ever seen in human history who is reliable and creative. And so, wait, we're going to push to pause to save. Now, dear diary, it's about to get juicy. Wait till you hear what the police and the DA did to me. I still can't believe it. It's impossible to believe. How could anybody be so as fucking criminal as a prosecutor? Well, I don't know. They framed over 5 million innocent men in America so far. I mean, they don't have to be any more. They couldn't be any more insane than they are. They're prosecutors. Their job is to get a conviction no matter what cheating takes place. It's not about serving justice, because if they drop the charges, it looks like, even if the charges are fake and they drop the charges, it makes it look like a loss for them. Do you understand? And it's hard to make a career as a lawyer if you have losses on your belt. So their goal is to win no matter what. If the person's innocent, they can't drop the charges because it's a loss on their belt and it hurts their career for the rest of their lives. They're going to have to frame the innocent man, and they've done that again and again and again. Now, so I asked Harry, and he said, yeah, I'll put the lease in my name. Now, I knew he couldn't be trusted for a second. He's the most unreliable person of anyone I know. But he had assets that most of my friends did not. And I think I even sent out an email asking everybody else part of the collective, hey, anybody else want to help? But, you know, human beings are lazy fucks, and they won't do anything. I have to do everything. So I got the $12,000. Oh, at the last possible second, Harry said, "Oh shit, I don't have my $4,000 right now. I'm real tight right now. I ain't got the $4,000. I know I was supposed to put in 1/3 of the money down. Shit, oh, I'm tight. Oh yeah." And so I had to go to Delfino, put in 1,000, and David Danziger put in 1,000, and then Tom put in 2 more thousand because once he saw the space, he said, "Oh my God, this is the most mind-blowing space I've ever seen. Unbelievable. How'd you do this, Christopher?" Everyone else said the same thing. How the fuck did you pull this off? I said, it was a lot of fucking work. I had to look at thousands of places. I worked my fucking ass off. And I put together a loosely called board of directors. With Colors Project, Trachtenbergs, Tammy Hard, anyone who wanted to be part of it, part of our collective. Maybe like 15, 20 people. Their mission was to protect the space from Harry Stuckey. Because if we put the lease in his name, that was thin ice. Very dangerous to begin with. So I created a board of directors, none of whom were friends of Harry's. All of whom thought he was this untrustworthy snake. And who would hopefully protect the space. Peer pressure is the most powerful force in human history. It can make people start smoking cigarettes and kill themselves. It can make people pierce their face. Peer pressure can make people tattoo their face. Peer pressure makes people murder every day. Peer pressure is more powerful than every other force in human history combined. And I had a team of people. But here's the problem. My team of board of directors were fucking retards with ego problems. And so Harry immediately started doing dirty tricks. Now, I didn't have access to email while I was moving into the space, so he had access to fucking talk to everybody behind scenes and cheat and cheat and cheat. Now, he's a professional con artist. Turns out he's been doing this for 30 years. He even did it to one of the other members of the board who neglected to tell us until after he did it, Cavassa. He tried to steal Cavassa's great music space, and Cavassa told us after Harry stole ours. Thanks, Cavassa. You shouldn't have told us that before. See what humans are like? They should all be murdered. There's only one way to deal with the human race. Exterminate them. You cannot save these monsters. And we had 2 board meetings, and even the people who hated Harry sided with Harry because they were either afraid of Harry. Like Delfino, the board meetings, when I'd say things like, tell everyone about Harry. What did he do when he was living with us? He was doing crack and lying about it. She's like, she was scared of pissing him off and trying to be polite. And so she downplayed everything. Oh, well, I'm not sure he was smoking crack. It's like, wow. Now, when Harry would leave the room, they'd all say things like he's the worst person ever. But he'd make sure he was in the room so nobody would say anything bad about him. Also, because the lease was in his name. So each one was like, well, if we unite as cowards, we won't lose. That was their strategy. And everything they did, I told them was wrong. And every single time they said, no, we all say Christopher's wrong. And Christopher thinks he's smarter than all of us. Now, you can go back and ask them, how many times were they right? Of the 150 things we all disagreed on at those board meetings, how many were they wrong about? It turns out they were wrong about 100% of facts. I was right about 100% of facts. Over 150 different facts. Everything from installing the bathtub. I was right about everything. To this day, 2 years later, not one of them, Tom Richford, not the Trachtenbergs, not Delfino, not David Danzig, not the Colors Project. No one has apologized and said Christopher was right. He was right about everything. And he lost his place solely because we didn't listen to him. We listened to Harry. The guy, the more we caught Harry in lies, the more we trusted Harry. That's no joke. You see it every day. The more Obama gets caught in lies, the more people listen to him. The more Bloomberg got caught in lies, the more they reelected him. Obama's going to win the next election. You know why? Because he got caught lying about everything he said. He's going to win the next election. Giuliani, the more he got caught lying. Bush, the more he got caught lying, the richer he became. This pattern has never, ever deviated. Nice guys finish last, which means bad guys finish first. So every one of my so-called friends who didn't even like Harry Stuckey all did everything they could to facilitate him stealing the entire project away. I still can't believe it. You wouldn't believe the thousands of frightening details, shocking details. I'll have to spare you of them. Just insane shit. Dr. Steenwhipple, fucking scumbag liars. All fucking liars. The girl, Teresa Galliani and fucking Carrie Farias of Your Boyfriend's Band Sucks. All fucking lied to protect Harry Stuckey. Because humans have 2 choices. You can either be on the winning team or the losing team. Now, you would choose, given a choice, to be on the Nazis' side. You, given a choice, would choose to be on the bad side. All humans choose to be on the winning team. Do you think Anne Frank had thousands of people saying, you could stay with us, Anne? No, she had very few places to stay. Because humans are disgusting, self-centered creatures. And so a lot of them, too, are like Cavassa. He didn't want to stand. He stood up to Harry a little bit, and Rachel and Tina stood up to Harry. Everybody else didn't. And Tom Richard facilitated all this shit. And Tom hated Harry, and he facilitated everything Harry did. And Tom was wrong about everything. And after he was proven wrong about everything, to this day, he still won't apologize. He did nothing to make amends. They all promised to do affidavits in the court cases. Most of them didn't. All fucking scumbags. I would sue the fuck out of all of them successfully, except most of them don't have any assets. But I can prove they did seriously negligent shit to rob me blind. I should murder them all. I should make the world a better place and murder them. Because remember, I know you think you can reason with Nazis. Or maybe take the Nazis to court. No. You put a bullet into a Nazi's head. There's nothing else you can do. You put a bullet into a Nazi's head. You have the right to self-defense. So, this might be a 4-parter. Fuck. So, they did so many shocking things. Luckily, most of it's in emails. There's no way to save my life. There's no way to undo the damage done. A lot of people think, oh, he just lost the space. Oh, no. That was one of 25,000 separate things he did. You could never comprehend. I can't list all the shit he did. It's too much to fucking comprehend. Cavassa, but of course, even people like Cavassa stuck up for Harry afterwards and they all kissed Harry's ass. Because now, in their mind, Harry was the one with the art space. They wanted to be friends with whoever owned the art space for the next 7 years. And everything I said, it's amazing. Not one single thing I said was wrong. I said, for instance, you guys, before he took over the space, I said, Harry's plan is to take over the space. You know why? Because his space is a failure. He's going to break the lease on his space and move into mine. He's got a 10-year lease in the other space. It's a failure. He's going to break the lease and stay in mine. Him and Danzig and I'm like, you can't break a lease. Needless to say, within a few months, Harry broke the lease in his last place and took over my place completely, moved into it and completely took it over. I wasn't wrong once, which is funny, because by the age of 10, I had been right about every single thing I had ever fucking said. And everyone was proven wrong every single fucking day in every single fucking circumstance of every single fucking day. Now, you have to imagine this. By the age of 10, you'd proven everybody wrong over 30,000 times on whatever issue you can think about. What time is it? What color was that car? Anything that involved memory, anything that involved fact. I proved my teachers wrong on English. It was a fucking nightmare. This is why I wanted to die since I was 5. I live in a world where human beings operate on ego. They despise logic. They despise honesty. They despise reason. And it's sad that these human beings are not going to be wiped off the face of the earth anytime soon. So, you can't understand what it's like to be me. Nobody can. Remember, I was writing about knocking down the Twin Towers using hijacked jets in '94. 2001, 2 jets smashed into the Twin Towers. Everybody says, no, who could have foreseen it? I said, well, I don't know. I was warning people about this for the last fucking for the last 7 years. You know, but who's keeping track? For 5 years as a reporter in New York City, I was the only reporter reporting that our police commissioner, Bernie Kerik, was a fucking dirty criminal. Everyone unanimously called me crazy. Left-wing and right-wing periodicals all called me crazy. Then, he himself pled guilty to all kinds of state crimes, and then he pled guilty to all kinds of federal crimes and went to federal prison. The New York Times, the Daily News, New York Post, CNN, NBC, 100% of media outlets said we were all wrong. Day after day after day when we said he was a hero. One reporter on Earth, only one reporter on Earth got the story right thousands of times. Got the story right every single day, and we got the story wrong every single day. That's one of the things that might hurt him in my RICO suit. It's like, okay, well, you have to explain why you didn't fire those reporters. When your reporter gets the story wrong 20 times, shouldn't you fire them? When your reporter gets the story wrong 150 times, shouldn't they be fired? That's like hiring a plumber who never successfully installs a sink. You'd fire that asshole. But you can see that the more the media reporters got their stories wrong, they're never fired. They're never punished. There's never any accountability. Now, they're going to have to tell a civil jury, if I get a good judge, they're going to say, well, why didn't you fire your bad reporters? They got the story wrong in every single topic every single day. Why didn't you fire them after? Because remember, there's no debating. They wrote that Bernie Kerik was honest and super clean and a hero. Then they wrote that he was a dirty criminal. Okay, so you were wrong. They can even explain why they didn't hire me. I've been right on every single news story in New York City's history. You pick any story. And I wrote the story years before it happened. Pick a story. Today, everyone is saying Mike Bloomberg is a fucking super criminal. White-collar criminal who fucking destroyed the city, bankrupted the city. It's in there in my writing in 2003, 2004. It's every day I said it in 2005. I said it and I reported it every day in 2006. 2007, I reported it every day. It's 2011 now, and everyone unanimously says I was right. Well, it's a little late, isn't it? I have a song called It's Too Late to Hate Hitler. You can't say Hitler's bad today. You had to say it before 1935. Otherwise, you're a retard who should be exterminated. We're going to wrap this one up now. End of part 1.